Monday, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Racing Insiders podcast for November 21st, 2022. And I am Kate Dillon from Crate Insider. Of course, I'm here today with Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines. And Steve, it's been 2 weeks since we did the show.
Yeah, you've been to Europe and back.
I have been to Europe and back, and it was great.
I would imagine nothing less.
I know you've been to Europe a bunch. This is my very first time, so it was
a fun place to go.
Yes, I really,
especially where you got to go.
I did. I went to some cool places, so I really enjoyed it. Didn't see any racing while I was gone.
I would imagine not.
I mean, unless you count the trams racing each other or the trains.
It would be fun to go there for like a Formula One race or something.
It would be, and so I have to ask. I mean, you just got this.
My Stein. I got a Stein.
Yes. It's from Bruges.
From Bruges, Belgium. Yep.
Yeah. Do you know why we went to Bruges?
Because of the movie.
That is absolutely why we went to Bruges. Because it's funny. We actually have ancestry. This is kind of like the ancestry trip a little bit. I was there with my brother, and we were in parts of Germany where like our ancestors would have come from. And, part of our ancestry is Belgium and Luxembourg. But the part of Belgium would be like Flanders, which is really not, it's a little bit farther than where we were at.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we went to Bruges. We loved it.
You could have seen some interesting World War I history if you'd have gone to Flanders.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But instead, I had this one experience where we went and we made waffles and drank beer. It was the Waffles and Beer Experience. It was the best. It was cool. Seriously the best. We even put beer into the waffle mixture.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beer waffles.
Yeah, beer waffles. I have the recipe and everything, so I have to try that out.
Sweet.
Yeah. So it's good. So what did you do for the last 2 weeks here?
Worked.
You're making me feel like a slacker now.
No, that's about it. Worked. A lot of work.
Yeah.
Trying to get shit out the door, that kind of thing.
You guys still cranking out a bunch of
as fast as possible. Yeah. Things have been a little bit slow. Probably. Just everything's just been a little bit slow as far as like getting shit out the door. Different reasons. Well,
I mean, I think this for so many of us in the racing business portion of the racing world, this is kind of some catch up on some stuff, or work on the projects that have had to been pushed back so many times. And because you had the stuff that had to be done right now.
Oh yeah.
So it's a slower time of year, but we're all working, but just working on different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting ready for trade shows. Anybody who doesn't know it, who watches this show or listens, of course, the Cars Racing Show is coming up in January 6th and 7th in Hickory, North Carolina. I just got off the phone with my brother, we're co-organizers of that show. And if you happen to be a racing business, we just have a few booth spots left. We'll get the new floor plan up in the next couple days here. We really only have like 2 10x10s and 1 10x20. Oh, wow. That's it. Yeah. So pretty cool. We're this close to being sold out on that portion. And then, if you're a racer, or heck, if you're listening to the show, you somehow like racing. So we definitely encourage you to attend on the show. This is gonna be our best show yet.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, we are getting really, really fired up and excited about it. So anyway, yeah. And if you're here, you drop in a question, say hey, or if any of that, tell us where you're watching from. That's always fun. One thing that was sad while I was gone is I missed Pippi.
Yeah.
Because I was gone for 10 days, and poor Pippi was, he was like, where's my mom?
He was pretty good for the most part. He was, like I said, he was a dick a couple times, but other than that, he was good.
So I have to ask, I've never drank out of a Stein. What's it like to drink out of a Stein?
Try it.
Okay.
It's like drinking out of a Stein.
It's kind of a two-handed deal. Kind of cool, though. I mean, interesting.
Exactly.
It's interesting. Well, it would keep flies out of your beer.
Absolutely.
I mean, that'd be a good...
It's perfect for summer.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder how insulating it is.
Pretty good, because it's like whatever that porcelain stuff is.
Yeah. So pretty cool. All right. So I see we got a couple comments here. Scott's here. He says, welcome back, Kate. Hi from California, where at the moment it's a mellow 64 degrees with 6 divisions of racing scheduled for Antioch Speedway this weekend.
Wow.
Nice.
I wish it was 64 degrees here.
It is not 64
No.
degrees. We actually turned on the heat today. Yeah, figured out the
Oh, at the shop?
yeah, trying to figure out the heater for the actual shop area, and yeah, it's a process.
Yeah, we're gonna have to fire up the wood stove at our place.
Yeah, yeah. And here's Pippi. Pippi saying hey.
Speaking of the devil.
Yeah, Pippi says hey.
You can't
All
have
right.
my beer.
And Doug Siri says, hi, Kate and Steve. It was good to see you at Twin. Thanks for coming. Twin. Oh, Twin Peaks. Oh, yes. Absolutely. I was at Twin Peaks.
Oh, cool.
Well, I was there because I was there seeing Vaughn Stone from Pit
Skylights.
Pit Skylights. Gosh. Yeah. So that was cool. So that was fun. And Terry's here. He says watching from Princeton, West Virginia. Cool deal. Yeah, let us know where you're from. Now, I have not even been here to answer anybody's questions at all.
Right.
So, and in the last week or so, last couple weeks, have you run across any questions that would be good, or even maybe it's the time of year? What would be a good topic to bring up this time of year?
Gosh, I wish you'd asked me this before the show so I could have prepped something. But
I know.
Heck, I don't know, honestly. I mean, the girls had a couple questions while you were gone that I had to answer for them, but just nothing.
Oh, I did hear about one situation where somebody called and talked to Danielle to ask if we sold manifolds.
Oh, that's it. Manifolds.
And
manifolds.
Danielle said, I don't know. I don't see them on the website. Let me call Steve. Yeah. So she calls Steve, and Danielle's new. So today we actually had a little master class in intake manifolds versus exhaust manifolds. Right. So like I was explaining engine parts today. Oh, yeah. But so Danielle calls you to ask, and you're like, no, you have to get them from a dealership. Right. And then she calls a guy back, says, no, here's how you can get it. And she didn't believe him. So, because what she called, then he called you back and was like, yo, those women that don't know anything. Yeah. It's probably good that I wasn't there. So yeah, fun times. Yeah, it's a little bit quiet tonight here. You guys go ahead and jump in and say leave us some questions. I'm curious what racers do in the off season if they're not working on the race cars.
Working on the race cars.
Is that what you would be?
That's only what you do in the off season.
Well, no. But like, this is kind of that smushy time between like racing season's over.
Oh yeah.
And are you?
Well, I mean, I've got guys with engines and they're getting freshened right now. And they're, I've had a few calls where they're, they're like, hey, I just want to hold you up, but we're going on a cruise, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like, no, go on the cruise. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but like the fun things, I guess, besides, because I think a lot of us slow down the wintertime. Well, then Christmas is coming. Mm-hmm. Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I think we're doing Thanksgiving with friends this year.
I believe so.
That's what that looks like. So that'll be good. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's 'tis the season.
Absolutely.
Are you going shopping on Black Friday?
God, no.
I just have fun asking Steve questions that I already know the answer to.
No, I have no desire to go shopping on Black Friday.
Now, I know there was a question to my email.
I'm not psychotic.
No, I completely understand that. I know there was a question on my email, so let me go find it really quick here. Contact. Let's see here. Here's a question. What is your opinion of Royal Purple racing oil? And this is from Mark27NY. Mark.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any other full synthetic kind of oil. I mean, it's pretty much all decent stuff. I mean, I don't have a bad opinion of it. Matter of fact, I mean, back in 1994 when they first started their company, or 93, they actually sponsored me in California. So I was a Royal Purple sponsored car, but no, I've got nothing against it.
Now, did you have to have like a purple car or anything?
No, God, no.
Do you like the color purple?
No, I don't.
It is absolutely my least favorite color.
Yeah, I would not have a Barney car.
I just don't like the color purple for sure. All right, let's see. We got some other folks here. So Mark is here. He says still a lot of racing happening in Arizona, and I just ordered an 871 blower for my rat rod project with a 440 in it.
Nice. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, especially out there in Arizona. Maybe you get out in the desert or something. It'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be fun. And OTF tuber here. Ontario, Canada, re-season finishes. Tear the car down completely, every nut and bolt. Verify that things are accurate. We started early because parts are hard to come by.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah. Starting as soon as you can is a good idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm sure you add that extra factor of being in Canada.
Well, there's still massive shortages here on everything. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a chassis builder the other day. He's like, man, I order rear ends and I can't get any for 4 months. And then all of a sudden 10 come in. And he's like, I order racks, can't get any. And then 8 come in, so it's kind of sporadic.
I know I'm trying to get ahead of things for sure. Just because I know better. I mean, I already know that this is a time where if my accountant was looking at my books, he'd be like, Kate, what the hell are you doing?
Well, like open motor classes and stuff. I know guys that have been, super late model stuff. I know guys have been waiting on engines for like a year and a half. And that's just because the manufacturer, the engine builder is waiting on the parts,
Right. Exactly. Not out of being slack or anything, but so yeah, OTF tuber. I mean, that is super smart to just get ahead of this and try to go ahead. Yeah. And let's see. Jeremy says, what's the average life expectancy of a 604? For example, is 70 nights a lot?
If it's well taken care of, no, it's not. Gosh, I had your brother, for instance. Mm-hmm. I think he ran an engine for like 120 shows, something like that. And I think we rebuilt it twice. So 60 races, and then he sold it, and that person ran it for however long and never had an issue with it. So if the maintenance schedule is good and you're maintaining stuff, you're not, just trying to rip the RPMs out of the thing, then every night, then it's going to last you quite a while.
Great. And I see Mark is here. So this is who I just asked the question about the Royal Purple. So it's great that you're here, Mark. And of course, we just talked about that and just kind of cross paths.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against it. So again, I think it's a decent product. Great.
And John is here.
Is there better stuff that I've seen? Yes, but it's a good product. Any of the higher end stuff is going to be pretty good stuff, especially if it's a full synthetic.
And John has a comment. He says, winterized and pulled my motor. Should I turn over by hand throughout the winter, spray anything in the intake, header ports, or spark plug holes at the same time?
If it's in a climate, a climate controlled building, that's probably not necessary, but it's certainly not going to hurt anything if you do. If it's going to be sitting in the shed and exposed to climate, then I would be doing that, because it's going to have humidity and fluctuations and stuff like that, which, obviously it, could cause, potential rust on the rings and the bores and shit like that.
So what would you recommend? Maybe like the Daytona 1 spray lube for that? Or
that works good. Anything marble mist roll will work. I mean, just anything that's going to be a lubricant that doesn't attract water.
Okay.
Don't use WD-40, for instance, because WD-40 does attract water. And it's got water content in it.
Well, I mean, that's really smart to know, because I think a lot of people wouldn't think that.
Right.
You think that it's just an oil.
WD-40 works great temporarily, but not, hell, use gun oil. Gun oil work great too.
Well, I know that WD-40 can get sticky over the course of time,
right,
as well. So, and then, I mean, like when it comes to getting through the winter, do you need to clean out all those surfaces, or what can you do there?
What do you mean?
So if you've been spraying oil like in the spark plug holes,
don't put a brand new set of spark plugs in it when you start it for the first time. So, pull the ones out of it that are in there and clean them off with some carburetor cleaner and blow them dry, throw them back in there, and let that be the set that gets fouled out once you start everything back up. And, once the thing stops blowing smoke out the exhaust, then you're safe to change plugs.
Cool. And Chad has a question. He says 602 Crate Northeast Dirt Sportsman. My local home track opened up rules on the exhaust. Any header, no stainless, but stainless tail and mufflers is legal. Is a tri-Y or a custom header better than a dirt legal style? So 602, have you found anything with the tri-Ys being good for the 602s?
Not really. I mean, even on the 604s, we've tried tri-Y stuff, and I just haven't seen any magic there. Excuse me. I mean, gosh.
And a custom header opens up things for, I mean, there's
Yeah,
all kinds of
no
tweaking.
stainless though. So I mean, that's a bit of a deal. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not familiar with what a dirt legal style header is on those, to be honest with you.
I think, I think, and I could be a little bit wrong here. So Chad, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the dirt car rules are very similar to the IMCA 602s, which means that it was a non-stepped header.
Right.
So if you had to use straight tube, you know, like in non-stepped headers. So I think if you could move to a stepped header.
Yeah, stepped header would definitely be the way to go. You want 1 5/8 to 1 3/4 3-inch collector.
Okay, because he's saying that the BA upsweep is our standard. It's probably, and he did say I'm correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can go with a stepped header.
Yeah, I would definitely be on a stepped header for sure. And then I would be, adding nano reversion stuff to it as well, since you don't have a rule for that now.
Yeah, that would be good. Now, did you ever test like a straight tube header versus a stepped header? And because he had questions.
Yeah, we have. We have, because we've had stuff that we've had to run straight tube on 602s, and we found that the best was the 1 5/8 straight, and then with a 3-inch collector.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have to run straight tube,
right? Otherwise, we want to go
1 3/4. Yeah, it was better.
Right. So an 1 1/2 to 1 5/8 to 1 3/4 is a step
No. I said if you had to run a straight tube header, then the 1 5/8 is better than the 1 3/4 on the 602s that we tried.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Any idea on what you'd find with a gain between a straight tube 1 5/8 versus a stepped?
You're going to pick up torque.
Okay.
Is what we've seen.
Torque far more than the horsepower.
Yeah, horsepower in a certain range, but without just going back and looking at dyno results from years ago, I don't want to quote anything.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Cool. And he said, yeah, I guess that's what I meant to ask. So yeah. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. And Banks says X85 versus CHP versus a CHP pump mix. What have you seen on the dyno with the different fuels on the 525? Sorry if this is a repeat question. I missed it.
No, it's not.
We've answered a lot of E85 specific questions, but this is not one we've really talked about.
Yeah. So, like my son's 525, for instance, I'll use his engine as an example because he's pretty much crash test dummy for all of our playing around on this stuff. And we were on CHP for quite a while with that 525. And then we went to the X85, and we saw the same torque gains on the X85 versus the CHP as what we did on, say, the 604 or the 602.
Okay. So
it's kind of following that same pattern. We did change the timing program just a little bit for X85 versus CHP, but not a whole lot on the 525 stuff.
And have you really messed with much of the CHP pump gas mix?
No, I'd never recommend mixing anything with any of those fuels. So no, don't do CHP pump gas mix. Not by any means. All you're doing is just diluting the CHP, honestly, make it worse.
Yeah. Makes sense. And Mike is here saying hi. So hello.
Oh, and by the way, the X85, I'm sure is probably about half the price of CHP right now. So I would certainly get on the X85.
Yeah. Yeah, you're paying Europe prices for
yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, it's shocking. You're going down the road, you're going like, oh man, it's only like $2.50 or whatever it was. And except for that's $2.50 a liter.
Right. makes a little difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's so it ends up being like $8 to $10 a gallon.
At least the euro and the dollar was closer though.
Yeah, except it was slipping as we were.
Was it?
Yeah, the dollar was dropping a little bit, and I totally got hosed at the airport when I was trying to do an exchange.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I should have told you that. Don't do it at the airport.
There was, well, that would be great, but just,
Yeah.
I wanted money now, and I wanted euros.
Yeah.
I didn't have euros when I first went to Germany. Yeah. Jimmy went and got cash,
Yeah.
and then, but when we went to, we were in Prague, so it was in Czechoslovakia, or it's not that anymore. It's Czechia, or whatever, Czech Republic. And then I got crowns. They got their own money.
Yeah, they do.
And so I did go to they had exchange houses everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. And let's see here. So Ryan's here. He says, I'm preparing to purchase my first 602 for a hobby stock. Do you have any new products recommended since your last 602 sheet in video? Which I think is like 2019.
2020, I think, is the last thing that I've done. Or 2021 is the last thing that I've updated on my recommendation sheet.
Okay, your recommendations. Yeah. Okay.
Hobby stock specific, no. I'm going to say I don't have anything new on that. Honestly, just because we haven't had time to, again, it's going to depend on the header you're allowed to run and if it'll fit. I mean, obviously, the Profab header thing would be a thing to upgrade to if you can. If that will even fit your car, I don't even know if it will. I'm just not familiar with that style car enough to give you a great answer as far as exhaust goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I don't think there's nothing new since then. Honestly, on our side. Now, I'm sure you got plenty of products that, all the front drive kits and the pulleys and the, carburetor spacers and the, everything that you deal with.
Right. Well, and I'm not with the hobby stocks. I'm not sure if we're running everything on the front. A lot of times that depends.
Yeah, I don't know, because a lot of stuff that we deal with is going to be like the Crate Racing USA Street Stock, which is going to be a totally different beast to what he's running.
Just
and what I understand a hobby stock to be.
Right. Think of the difference between like 602 late model rules versus the 604 late model rules.
Well, I know it's going to be different, but
slightly different. Yeah, so if you have to run everything on the front, and when it comes to front drives,
well, you will. You're going to be probably running everything on the front of a hobby stock.
Right. And you might have to run like exhaust manifolds instead of headers, possibly. It just depends on what series and rules and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing to look at obviously is what you're allowed to run.
Oh, yep. And actually, Ryan's here. He says my track rules require stock exhaust manifolds. So yeah. But when it comes to the front drives, that's a place where that you haven't really addressed that in your recommendations.
There's not a lot of gains that I've seen, but there's like convenience and the nice factor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that. But I mean, generally in that class, I'd be looking at what type of fuel you're allowed to use, and I'd be using the most potent shit you can possibly get a hold of, whatever that may be. Like if you can run E85, then I'd be on E85. If you run oxygenated gas, and I can be on I'd be on oxygenated gas.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not allowed to run E85, that kind of shit. There's a lot of little things here and there, but honestly, that 2021 sheet will still cover,
your basics,
all the basics on fuel and everything, because I have not changed my opinion since then.
Great. And then things like a distributor. I mean, if you can run a regular billet distributor versus an HEI.
Oh yeah. I mean, shit like that. So
yeah. I guess we might be making the big time because Sec 69 Fun is here from YouTube, and I just put them in timeout because they wanted like hot girls or something.
Oh, really?
So,
well,
so yeah, we're
damn it, I wanted to see Sec 69 Fun.
They're blocked for 5 minutes, but then we'll see. All right. So so
send us some tip pics.
No,
free.
We're not going to get them. We're not going to get them in the chat. It just doesn't work that way in the chat.
Well, shit.
Yeah, sorry. You're SOL.
We'll have that.
All right. So Shane is here. Says he's on VP RX 96 fuel at the moment. Looking to switch to X85 this year, but a lot of 602 guys around my area in Northeast Georgia are having problems getting the E or the X85 to run or take off good. Mm-hmm. Any recommendations? I got one. Carburetor.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on what carburetor you end up with. a lot of the areas where people run into problems on, I don't care whether it's 602 or 604 or 525, is E85 freezes up on the butterflies if you're idling around. So, guys that complain about takeoff and the thing stumbles and then all of a sudden it goes, shit like that, they're either idling in the pits and going on the track and smashing it to qualify and it's having a stumbling problem, or they're going out on the track and, before a start or whatever, they're just idling around and barely clearing it out, that kind of shit. And that's normally going to cause a stumbling problem. The other thing is the motor just being flat ass too cold to actually take off. That'll cause issues. So there's all sorts of issues that can be solved easily. But a lot of guys just don't take the time to research what it takes to solve those problems easily.
Well, and it's interesting because this came up couple 3 weeks ago, whatever. I mean, a show or two ago, where we talked about the Arts radiator thermostat. And
yeah, his whole deal. That definitely
thermostat
helps. We've gone to that on everything on my kid's car.
Yeah, because the Arts thermostat, it will, block off the water, so you actually use less fuel to get your car up to temperature, and it'll help maintain that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, you burn. honestly, usually on E85, I've said this before, but you burn more fuel warming the damn engine up enough to, to where it'll go out on the track and run than you do actually on the track while you're racing. So yeah, I would. I would not be afraid of E85 one bit. Mm-hmm. Again, most of the guys having problems are usually guys that are self-inflicting their own problems. I see time and time again. I mean. We had somebody dyno, was it last week or week before, whenever it was, where, fuel pressure ended up being their issue. Not enough fuel pressure. Crank that bitch up to 9.5, 10 pounds, solve the problem, that kind of thing. So, it could be, 1 inch each anything or a bunch of little things, but generally it's self-inflicted. And, again, you have to maybe change the way you start and restart a little bit as far as, getting the engine cleared out properly and stuff like that.
Well, and he's actually got a follow-up on his question. He says, also running your carb. Will I have to buy a completely new carb for X85?
No, you will not. As a matter of fact, Mike can convert your existing carburetor to X85. We can't go backwards, but we can go to the X85 from gas.
Oh, okay, cool deal. Great.
Economically, by the way, it doesn't cost that much to actually do it.
Okay, I've just put this comment on the screen because Mike says, "Dear Steve," and for anybody who's just listening to the podcast, it is parentheses with circles, so it's basically giving Steve some boobs,
some titties,
some boobies. All right, and now great, and I just made this a not PG show.
There you go.
All right. Stanley's here. He says, what's the difference in E85 and X85?
Well, X85 is just VP's variant of it. I think Renegade calls theirs R something 85 or I don't know. Everybody's got their own name for their E85. But the difference between E85 and X85 should be nothing. Now, if you're talking something out of the pump, it's going to be quite a bit different in the sense that, pump E85 is made with, standard old pump gasoline and E85, whereas, the racing version of everything is made with actual race gas.
Well, and let's explain the 85. So this might be new to some folks, is that pure ethanol would be E100, but...
Or just straight ethanol.
Right, but it's not really allowed to be sold, I guess, because after Prohibition, people tried to drink it or something. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But you have to cut it. And what are you going to cut that other 15% with? You've got your pure ethanol, and what's that 15% that you're going to cut it with, whether it's race gas, whether it's pump gas, whether it's whatever, to get it to register as 85% ethanol. And that's where your impurities can come in, or some advantages.
Yeah, I mean, pump E85, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, will it work? Yeah, it'll work, it'll run. But you just need to test it out of the pump all the time to make sure you're actually getting E85 and not, E79 or something.
Which is very, very common because depending on the time of year, a lot of times E85 or, these ethanol fuels are used for like tractors and implement equipment, things like that.
Yeah, so they cut more into it during the wintertime. Cut more gas into it in the wintertime.
Yeah.
But the other problem you run into also is, as with anything at a gas station, you got water contamination as a fear, when you're dealing with something that's an in-ground pump or in-ground tank.
Well, and also the sludge, because there's going to be sludge that just gathers up. This is even for your regular car. Some advice I've received is that if you see the big fuel tanker at the gas station when you pull up, just drive away. Just don't, because when they're pumping that fuel in there, it's kicking up all that sludge, and you're just putting extra impurities into your any kind of car or truck.
Could be, I don't know.
That's what I've been told. I believe I can't remember who told me, but I believed them. It made sense. All right, here's a new question. James is here. What plugs do you recommend in a 602 running CHP, and what gap?
Either the AR94, and they come AR94 Autolite, they come pre-gapped, or the R57 24-8 NGK, and normally will run like 40. If you're on a billet style distributor, triggering with an MSD box. You got to run like a HEI. You might get away with 40, but 35 would be more realistic.
And shameless plug, I actually sell both of those on CrateInsider.com. And you know what? I have inventory of both of them.
Nice.
Mostly because I've been stockpiling for a long time. Every time I place an order, yep, let's go and add some spark plugs. Let's add some spark plugs. So it's a good deal. And Bill says hi. And he says, been a while. Are there one of you planning on attending Dirt in December at the Dome in St. Louis next weekend?
No, I will be working.
Yeah.
I'm probably watching out Dirt on Dirt or Flow Racing or whatever.
I think that is such a fantastic event. I really do. I haven't been to it yet. Normally because it it conflicted with PRI, and it's just too much traveling. Of course, now I've been gone on vacation. I've had 2 vacations in the last 3 months.
I would like to go to that one year, though. I think
it would be a lot of fun. Yeah. And I am planning on being at PRI this year for a couple of days. So that's so it's just more travel, and I've got a trade show to plan for too. So so I won't make it this year, but I agree. Maybe we just put that on the calendar for next year. It'd be a good thing to do. Maybe. Yeah.
Just depends on where we're at as far as work goes and all that.
Yeah.
And your trade show, if you do it again and all that.
Yeah. So, or more trade shows. So we have a few other things going on.
Yep.
It's always something. Exactly. And then Alan's here. He's hello from Minnesota. And I actually grew up in Minnesota for part of my life. So it's kind of fun. It's always fun to see a Minnesotan here. Or an Iowan, because I grew up there too. Looks like that's all the questions we got so far. You guys keep dropping them in. It's just fun to talk about all these different topics. A lot of these we haven't talked about in a while.
Well, you can chatter about something because I'm going to have a quick cigarette.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Are you? Okay. You're making me fly solo. What happened to your little vapey thing?
I got my vapey thing next door. I don't smoke inside anymore since I moved to a new place.
Yeah.
And don't smoke in my car. I've cut down, but every now and again, you just feel like having a damn cigarette.
And apparently that time is now.
And that time is right now.
Right now.
Right meow.
Okay. Oh, you want lights up there? No, I've got a remote. Here we go. So, turned on the lights. I could always turn on a Steve cam. Okay. All right. Any more questions, you guys? Go ahead and drop them in. And let's see. The things that I have to tell you about, of course, are the Cars Racing Show in Hickory, North Carolina, January 6th and 7th. So hopefully you guys can make it to that. If you haven't signed up for tickets, do it. They're $10 in advance. Otherwise, it'll be $15 at the door. Like I said, we are almost sold out of booth space. So that'll be exciting. It's going to be the best show we've had yet. Still have some more planning to do. We'd like to do some seminars. Oh, also, we'll be taking some show cars. So if you have a special car, maybe it's a championship car, or you're going to have a brand new car, or it's some historical car, we'd love to have those in the show as display cars. So we've actually carved out space specifically for having these different show cars. Maybe it's champions cars. It'll be cool. We want to have one comment we got last year is there just weren't enough cars. So we just want to fill the entire convention center with cars everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's car things. And if you want to be a part of that, we'll have, I'll probably by the next show. So if we're back on next Monday, then I'll give you guys a link and you can sign up to have your car in the show. And that'd be pretty cool. And let's see. Oh, yep. And Shane's here. Looking forward to seeing you guys at the show again and spending some money. Oh, Steve says the cars need to be washed. Yeah, it's kind of a part of it. Yeah, it's a show car. And yeah, just let us know, or you can reach out and let me know. We can put you on the list and get something going there. Okay. Oh, I've got I have a question that Steve will have to answer. It's about, okay, he will be right back. He's just power smoking right now. And Pippi's watching him. Pippi is, Pippi's guarding the door right now. Obviously, I'm stalling because I don't know the answer to this question. All right, I got a question for you here.
Too damn cold to smoke outside anyway.
Yep, yeah, I bet it is.
Shit,
all right, Steve. So here's a question from Joe. He says, "Hi, stock type clutch and flywheel for an asphalt street stock, as light as the rules allow, or on the heavy side."
As light as you can possibly get in that thing is what I want. But
gotcha. And what would be the advantages of having the lightweight?
Opinions may vary. I don't know.
Okay, but I mean, what would be your reasoning for going? Well, just because we're going with
acceleration and deceleration.
Okay. I mean, you say like it's obvious. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, the bigger and heavier it is, the longer it takes to wind up and wind down. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, that rotating weight.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense a lot. And Donine is here. Donine Shane. Hello from Nebraska. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your friends. Deviled eggs with your dinner. Yay or nay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Better have freaking deviled eggs.
Okay.
And I want black olives too.
Not in your deviled eggs, or
no, but I want black olives separately.
Okay.
Because I eat black olives with my turkey.
Gotcha. And it's interesting that you mentioned deviled eggs because there are just a few dishes that happen to be like my things, and that's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Deviled eggs are definitely one of those most requested like thing that I bring.
Yep.
So that'll be something I can do this week. Is for Thanksgiving dinner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Mike says, you need to make a "My name is" sticker for Steve's shirt. He could be Mr. Congeniality. I love that.
That's me.
I have to tell you, you haven't seen I'm going to have to wear it next week, but you haven't seen the ridiculous thing that I bought myself. Oh, God. There was a plastic Viking hat with like horns that stuck out. And I was like, I have to have this. I need. And
you're not even a Viking.
I need this in my life. This way, next year I can be like Broomhilda, like from the Flying Valkyries, and be for a costume next year. What do you got? You were laughing.
It just Alex's mom. I got a picture of her in a Viking hat because her family's actually from Scotland,
right?
And they're Vikings. That's what we used to call her, was the Viking. She'd get all Viking-like.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying.
That is funny. And Donine says, right on. Like about the deviled eggs. Yep. Pippi, you cannot help by being on the laptop.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. And Mike is here. Mikey is here. Absolutely, from Oregon. Hey, friends. Happy holidays. Happy holidays, Mikey. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I think we're kind of wrapping up early today.
You got your Race Logic school deal. Is that sold out yet? Or
No, we still have some spots left for the Pennsylvania class. Is going to be January, I believe, 27th and 28th in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, we got to get the word out on that one. So
tail in the way.
Yes. Oh, okay, we got a tail in the way. But yeah, racelogic.vip. I'm going to drop that link in. Race Logic. I'm going to drop that link in, and so you can check it out. We've got a great slate of instructors that are going to be part of that. You're one of them. So, yeah. Still got some spots in
instructor, destructor, however it goes.
You are Steve doing Steve things.
Yep.
Yep. So I will drop that in, and I
actually talk like Steve doing Steve things while I'm doing it too.
You do. You even answer questions like Steve doing Steve.
First time I did one of those, Kate's all, can you please try not to say fuck so much while you're talking in front of everybody? I'm like, fuck yeah, I can.
Well, the first time, the very first one, you were basically like, you had no idea what to expect.
Right.
So you went full like Ricky Bobby and were like, I don't know what to do with my hands. But you liked my microphones.
Right.
My microphones. I have my microphones that like can throw across the room. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
So yeah, if you haven't signed up, this is the Crate Lane model chassis school, but so much of that would actually transfer. So especially for the guys in the Northeast, they've never had anything like this up there before. So that's why we're,
so much more than that. I mean, we're talking late models, but the shock technology and talking about tires and everything else and engine shit, that all relates to a lot of stuff.
Oh, it absolutely does. Yeah. Because of course I go to all of these. I'm still trying to understand basic shock.
And then of course, Dave Hammond, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
And everything he's going to talk about applies to every aspect of, I don't care whether you got a stock front clip car or a super late model, it's going to apply.
And Ben Baker and Robbie Bilbrey. I mean,
Right.
These guys are fantastic. All right, here's a new question. Brian says, what size pulleys would you run on a spec motor for the water pump? Spec motor, which depends on what the specs of the motor are, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I use Jones and KRC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're going, God, what are they? I don't know what size they are. The reduction, I think both are anywhere between 7 and 8% reduction is what we normally use on all our stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I'd look at using. I mean, both of them got like the lightest shit out there.
Yeah, they're both really great. Really great. And then, of course, we've got all kinds of different variations if you're running more stuff on the... If you just want to do crank to water pump, or if you want to add power steering. Or
all the new stuff on the new serpentine stuff is great. Jones makes a cog setup that works well. HT drive deal that works well.
Mm-hmm.
So any of that works just fine.
Cool. And could you run the same one off of the 525? He's asking.
No, you cannot. All the 525 stuff is 525 specific. So no, you could not.
That is really important to know.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, if you're running a conventional style engine, meaning 602, 604 based, or small block Chevy based type of engine, then honestly, the only thing that transfers over to the CT 525 is going to be like your carburetor and your carburetor spacer, maybe. So carburetor studs, that kind of thing. Reverse mount power steering and fuel pump if you're allowed to run that, but everything else is completely different.
Good to know.
Because most everything on that engine is also metric.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then when you've got that whole, I guess, you still have a carburetor, but you've got a timing pro. You've got a computer involved in this too, the ignition controller.
Yeah, it's a control box. So yeah, you're tuning it with a laptop.
Mm-hmm. Which is a lot different than the 602 or 604 with all mechanical. Yeah.
Unless you're running a programmable box, then on one of those, then yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he said, thanks for that. Dean said, is GM raising the price on the 602?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I updated those prices just before I left on vacation because when GM sends out a pricing notice, it's like, it was like in effect yesterday.
Yeah.
Is kind of how that works. So exactly. I had to hustle and make sure I got that done before I went on vacation. And it was the one thing that was a price increase from the other.
Was the 602s.
Yep. Was the 602s. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know the last batch of 602s I got cost me X amount. And then this newest batch is costing me X and a little bit more. So
yeah, I think it went, if I recall correctly, I think it went up like $600. It's just hard to keep up.
Well, on the what do you call it? The map pricing.
Correct. I mean, but that's all I have
all you're allowed to talk about and all you're allowed to promote is anybody. So it's map pricing.
Yeah.
Now, if you call, the price can be different, but
right. So yeah, the latest price is $63.68.94. Yep. So $63.68.94. Oh, but that reminds me, because I was just looking in the shop by brand here on CrateInsider.com.
And again, if you call, it would save you significant
depending on who you call.
To a point, depending on who you call.
But you know what I'm excited about? Have I talked about my underwear on this show yet?
I don't think so.
I have new Carbon X underwear for racers.
Alex was showing that off today. Yeah.
Actually, the reason I bought a mannequin was so that we could take pictures of the underwear. And when I say underwear, it's really a long sleeve shirt, and it looks like long.
It's an extra layer of protection.
Yeah, and for fire protection. Plus, I have socks too. Yeah. These are Carbon X. Underwear top, underwear bottoms, and socks. And so they're. And
if you don't believe you can't be burned, you can be burned. Trust me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so super excited to have these, and I'm excited to have them. I mean, for before Christmas here too. Oh, this is going to be. I'm gonna be shameless for a moment here, and I'm just gonna drop a link into the comments here. So if you want to check these out.
Well worth the investment, especially if you've got a janky old fire suit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fire, but it's just the worst.
No, it's the one thing that's always scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. So these are long sleeves. And I was actually told from my supplier that people ask you if you have like short sleeves. Like, what? I mean, is like only half of your arm important?
Right.
It's like, kind of your whole arm is.
Right.
So no, there's not. Yeah. Oh, Mike says that Steve could wear your underwear on his head and be Spider-Man. Nah, these would be. Yes. Mike's like, don't they always raise the price? That's fine. That's fine.
True.
So anyway, I am very excited about that. I mean, I definitely like to promote safety wherever we can. I mean, I know it's not as sexy as some of the other stuff that we do. I mean, I don't know, except it's underwear. It's just fun saying,
well, no,
have I talked about my underwear?
Some people overlook it, honestly.
Well, I mean, I think some people aren't even aware that it's something that exists.
Right.
I think that was what I discovered with the whole fire suppression systems, that.
Well, it's like one of the reasons why I've always dealt with hooker harness.
Yeah.
All right. So these guys are good friends of mine. I've always dealt with them. I think you sell their belts.
I do. And they always come to our show.
To me, it's one of the best products on the market. Not trying to toot their horn, but I'm just saying, most rules, especially in, series or, sanctioned racetracks and series, you got to change your belts out every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one advantage of using the hookers is if you actually maintain those things properly, like I tell you to, you send them back in the winter.
Yeah.
They test them and recertify them, and you're good for another 2 years. So it's not like you have to buy another pair of belts. Or a set of belts.
Well, and they might even re-web them.
And they'll re-web them and all that stuff.
Yeah. So they can use
at a minimal cost.
Same hardware, as long as the hardware, they'll test and inspect all of that. But then they could put the new webbing in there. Exactly. And you've got brand new belts for a fraction of the cost.
Right, exactly.
So, they're all custom.
Yep.
They do a phenomenal job. It's pretty cool. I mean, they got their start in airplanes, really.
Yep.
And getting airplane certification is a whole nother level compared to
a whole lot different.
Whole nother level compared to race car stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And Mike's got a great point here. He says should always buy safety before speed. Yeah, I think that's a good it's a good marker. In
the 80s and 90s we went the opposite way, but nowadays that's the way to go.
Well, also
you don't think about it when you're that age and racing and all that stuff.
Well, but in the 80s and 90s, I mean, it
wasn't there, yeah.
You didn't even have the possibility.
Didn't have the option of having Hans devices, and didn't have the option of having.
There's no full containment seats.
Yeah, there was no such thing as a full containment seat until just seems like a couple of years ago is what it seems like to me. But
I mean, didn't you just need a racing fire suit top? You just wear your jeans.
When I first moved here in North Carolina, I go to like some of these local racetracks, and dudes are like in Levi's and a freaking pair of tennis shoes and a damn like a fire suit, like 2-piece fire suit top only.
Oh yeah.
With their open faced helmet out there freaking tearing shit up on the dirt tracks,
Yeah. Oh, and Dean asks, who makes the belts? Hooker Harness.
Yes.
So I actually do sell their belts at Crate Insider, and they're all custom, so it's not something I have on the shelf.
Yep.
Or you can reach out to Scott or Neil. Those guys are great. So
absolutely.
And yeah, you love wearing your hoodie from Hooker.
Yeah, they have one of the best marketing campaigns ever, because I got their hoodie and it's awesome. It says Hookers Save Lives.
Yeah, which is always such a joy being the female on his arm as he's like, hookers save lives. Yeah. So if there are questions, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know.
No, but in all seriousness, best belt manufacturer in the United States, in my opinion.
Yeah. And American made.
Yes,
I don't know where all the hardware comes from, but I mean, you are talking about quality. They have to be quality materials because this is the same mechanisms that they're using for, especially in airplanes,
Racing
but
planes.
Especially for like, these are the planes that are doing the loop-de-loos and those very specialty aircraft.
Yeah, I mean, to be FAA certified, you gotta you gotta know your shit, basically.
Oh, absolutely. And so they do one hell of a job. And yeah, and they're some of the funnest people in racing for sure. And if you want to meet them in person, you can come to the Cars Racing Show.
Yeah, there'll be a couple trade shows this year. The Cars one as well, but there'll be a couple trade shows and just nicest group of people I ever meet.
Yeah, and they also do a lot of the air shows.
Yes,
because of that as well. So if you're somebody who also happens to have an airplane, I do not happen to be one of those people.
I do not either.
No, I don't have a pilot's license. I just have a regular driver's license.
I would like to have an airplane.
Okay. I mean,
I would like to have a lot of things. But...
Yeah, everybody's got to have a Christmas wish list. All right. Here we got, let's see. Jason's here. He says, can you run through what I need to do to change from pump gas to E85 on a street stock with a 602? Fuel pump, regulator, do I need to return?
Yeah. So number one is going to be the carburetor, obviously, which I'm sure you know about that. Number two is you need a high pressure fuel pump. So if you're going to run it off the block, then you need to invest in a pump that's going to be anywhere between 12 to 15 pounds roughly. And then, yes, you do need a bypass regulator system. In my opinion, I've got people that somehow get away with running it without it, but I always recommend a bypass system no matter what fuel you're using. So I definitely have a bypass system in the car.
Great. And
the other thing that you're going to need as well is, whatever fuel filter system that you're using, you need to make sure that has a stainless element, not a paper element.
Okay.
And then you need to make sure that your fuel cell foam is compatible with ethanol.
Oh, I bet the other ones can just get chewed up or melty.
Some of it will melt. Yeah.
That'd be bad. God, that'd be a mess.
Yeah, it totally fucks up the whole fuel system.
Oh, I will bet. And probably engines.
Yeah. It's not good on anything.
No. All right. Alan's here. He says, hi, guys. Sitting in the tree stand hunting tonight. I was looking at my July Speedway Illustrated and was looking at an article striking oil. Happy to see your input on this issue. Steve, we run Schaefer Supreme 7000 synthetic plus 1540. Would you recommend this oil or any other viscosity? No issues with this product.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. In some of the, like 602s and 604s, we prefer their 1030. Just because it's what we've personally found to be best. But yeah, I mean, the 1540 is fine, especially if you're racing in a hotter climate. Make sure obviously the engine's up temperature and stuff before you race. But yeah, I don't see a problem with using that.
Yeah. Cool. I think we are almost at time. Thank you all tonight for your amazing questions. Do you have any final thoughts?
I'm hungry. I'm going to go get me something to eat.
I'm a little bit hungry too. I ended up on the phone after work, so haven't quite made it to the dinner time.
There you go.
And then we talked about deviled eggs. And
yeah.
I want deviled
eggs.
Kicked
it off.
Dang it.
I want deviled eggs.
Oh, a real quick follow-up question for Jason that he's switching over to 85. What fuel pressure should I run?
Generally between 9 and 10 pounds is what we recommend on the stuff that we do.
Perfect. All right. Well, wrapping up here. I want to thank you all for being here. Thanks so much for being part of the show. Try to make it back here next Monday. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, that'll be good. So next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, whatever time we've got, 7 o'clock, but whatever Eastern time we've got.
I know it's dark. I don't like it.
It could be worse. It was dark at 3:45 in Prague. So,
it is that time of year.
Oh, yeah, it was brutal. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one and drop in any other comments or questions and we'll get them answered next week.
Sounds good.
See ya.
See ya.